Today I'm chatting with Noah of Noah Stoner Films. We're going to talk about how he got into videography, how he started shooting weddings, what those early weddings look like, his thoughts about AI, his feelings about content creation, and when he's actually okay with a photographer walking in front of his camera. Welcome back to A Second Helping with Allison Barto. Thank you so much for doing this. Tell me how you got started with videography in general.
Well, I went to college, got a degree in video production, which sounded great as an 18-year-old. And then I was like, wait, how do I make money off this now? Mm-hmm. And so after graduated around 2006, and I was doing like odds and end jobs, and then like I was like, I need to figure out a way. And then there was someone I knew who they had two siblings get married in a year. And so I was like, sure, I know how to make videos. I could do a wedding. And so I did those two weddings for them. And then that led into more, but I had no idea what I was doing because like we didn't have all the YouTube tutorials channels like we do now. And so, rewind a little bit. I did one in college for my RA because he knew me and my roommate were video production students. And so we rented it from like the AV club on campus where you can rent gear. Mm-hmm. And so, but that morning my roommate wakes up and says, I'm not feeling good. You have to do it by yourself.
No.
Yeah. The guy is still married, but he's not looking back probably on his wedding video as a highlight. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. Was
it the RA getting married or?
Yes. Yeah. To another RA. Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds like it was probably a really rockin' reception.
Definitely not. That's back when I was evangelical, so like no alcohol at the wedding, and it's a different time.
So it was lower key. And you said they're still married?
I'm sure they are, yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
But these first weddings I did, so like around 2009, 2010, I'm so surprised nobody like said, what are you doing? Like when I'm like the first couple weddings, I'm looking back at my footage and I have one camera and like I only shot with one angle and I was standing like behind the bride and groom, like facing the guests.
Okay.
But nobody said, why are you standing there?
Did you stand there the whole ceremony?
Yeah, because I only had one angle. I couldn't move it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like...
You just committed to it.
Yeah, because I didn't know anybody. I never second shot for anyone. I just had a camera and said, yeah, I can do a wedding.
Now, how many weddings did you shoot like that before you started learning more?
When I'm looking, I was reviewing some old, because I have all those, old videos and raw footage and everything. It's probably about 12 or so.
Okay.
And then I started introducing, maybe I can get another camera, have another angle. Yeah. And also those first weddings I shot, I didn't know you could get a direct audio feed from the DJ or band for like nice audio for speeches. Mm-hmm. So I would always have my one camera angle as close to the speaker cabinet as possible so the video could hear the speeches.
For the audio.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, that must have been a really big light bulb moment when you found out what your other options were.
Yeah. I was like, wait, oh, wow, you can do that? You can do this? Yeah. Because I was struggling. Like in my mind, I'm a videographer, but really I wasn't doing enough to make it sustainable. And then around 2013 or 2014, my wife encouraged me to second shoot and shoot for other people to get more gigs. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started shooting for Cinema Cake. And then they kind of opened up my eyes of like, oh, wow, these are better ways of doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. Cinema Cake. They
do it. Yeah. They do a great job. Yeah.
They're amazing. So yeah, that's why I love second shooting too, just because you're seeing how other people do it, the other options. So that's awesome. Now, then did you start second shooting for other people as well?
Yeah, around 2014, that same year, I started picking up gigs for New Pace. I think I was already phasing out. I did some dates for George Street back then.
Hmm.
However, they have like the reverse scheduling model where you have to go on their portal and say when you're not available. So you wake up to an email that says you're booked for a certain date if you don't black it out.
Oh,
And
okay.
so like I missed my buddy's wedding because it's like three strikes and you're out. And I knew that if I turned it down, I would be taken off their
Off the
list.
list.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
just skipped his wedding so I could keep the
oh,
gig. But
yeah.
looking back, it's a good memories.
Yeah. That's an interesting scheduling model too.
It's
I know
awful. Yeah.
I use Shoot With Me and I try to keep it updated, but I know sometimes I do forget to add in when I book other jobs and then I get the request and I feel bad declining it, but it's typically only because it's another wedding, but it's hard to remember. So,
Well, I
yeah,
want
three
that
strikes and you're
freedom to
out.
be able to, do what I want and then, oh, something comes up and then I have the power to say yes or no as opposed
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Well, and also you can get offered weddings where like the geographic location doesn't work or maybe it just doesn't work for that day, if you've got other things going on the day before, the day after kind of thing. So, yeah, that's tough.
Exactly, because I shoot a lot of triples and I don't want that wedding in the middle to be, a 2.5 hour drive away where I have to start at 10 a.m., get done at 11 p.m. or whatever, something like
Yeah.
that. And then that kind of
Sometimes
messes up the weekend.
logistically. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that's tough. So, I'm assuming you don't shoot for them anymore.
George Street?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, that's probably just like a year or two. I picked up gigs for them. All right, so the trade-off is that because, how can I say nicely? The end product isn't their biggest priority. It's more about just volume.
Okay.
And so I had a buddy who missed the vowels, right? Completely missed the vowels. But he had audio of it. So they said, oh, no problem. We'll just take stills from the photographer, make like a video slideshow with the audio.
Okay.
So the risk factor is lower when you're working for a studio that places less value in the product.
Yeah. Less pressure, I guess. They'll make it work.
Yeah, but I'm fine not doing that anymore. Yes.
So now, how many would you say on average per year? How many weddings are you shooting?
I'd say anywhere between 75 and 85.
Wow. And of those, what percentage are you the lead and what percentage are you the second?
Yeah, so for myself, I have like maybe like 9 a year, not many at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like directly booked through me. Most of it is shooting for either other photographers that offer video service or other
Mm-hmm.
video studios. Um, I would say maybe out of all those, I'm probably a second shooter, probably 10 of those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's normally either I'm solo or I'm the lead video.
Okay.
And
How do
solo is probably over half of those. Yeah.
so a lot of solo.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
How do you compare? How do you like solo versus working with someone else, whether you're the lead or the second?
It depends because you can have a second that you're just not meshing with. And
Hmm.
you're like, you know what? I'd rather just be solo today.
Yeah.
Especially when you're shooting for a studio that you're trying to represent well. And you feel like that other person isn't necessarily giving the right vibe that you want to give, whether it's not just like their footage could be great, but personality, how they're dressed, whatever. There's so many different
Hmm.
factors, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that person's reflecting on me, even though it's not directly my studio. I still want to give off the best image possible.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's the worst when someone's there and they're almost a detriment when you're like, oh, I'd be better off by myself than working alongside this person.
Yeah,
So that's
because
tough.
there is this like, I've maybe popularized through different YouTube channels of shooting on a gimbal all day with just like a wide lens, right?
Okay.
Which is very not like a team friendly approach, in my opinion. if that's all you have. And so it's like, dude, back up, or lady, whatever, that's inclusive, dude,
Dude and guy, I use
yeah.
this inclusive of everybody.
Back up. Don't, you're in everyone's way right now. And yeah, let's not do that.
So is it just because the wide, they're getting everybody in the shot, so everybody is basically, they need you to get out of the way?
Well, you're getting in the photographer's way, you're getting in the guest's way, you're getting in my way. Yeah.
Yeah. And you think that's from YouTube that people are seeing that style, or what's causing people to only shoot wide?
I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of YouTube channels and YouTube wedding videos where it's a very, like a music video. It's everything's with like a wide angle, like a party kind of feel,
Okay.
which is really fun to look at, but practically it's not a team friendly way of shooting if you're only on a wide lens all day.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that because I'm always switching lenses, and I can't imagine just being wide all day. And that's just with photography. What lenses do you like to shoot with throughout the day?
I usually, for ceremony, I have if I'm solo, I'll have two 7200s on the sides, getting like choker shots of the bride or the couple.
Okay.
And then I'll have a long lens, not like, all right, usually not right in the center aisle, but like in the back off to the side.
Okay.
Because that gives me the freedom of, if it's a photographer I normally don't work with, and I'm not sure how far up they go, that way I'm still getting a clean shot, and they can go up as far as they want pretty much because I'm off to the side just a little bit.
Right. That's smart.
Now, if it's like a studio where me and the photographers are paired up together, then sometimes I'll have my gimbal on a low angle, like in the middle of the center aisle, if I know that works well with how that photographer shoots.
Okay.
Yeah. But usually in the beginning of the day during prep, I'm kind of feeling them out as far as like, what lenses they like to use throughout the day, because almost all my lenses are zooms. That way I can adapt to however the photographer shoots.
Yeah. That makes sense because we're always stepping up and getting in the way, even when we're trying not to.
Oh, no, I mean, there's so many rabbit trails here, right? That's, speeches is the only time of the day that's like, don't get in my shot, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like the only time of like a really like video centric mode.
The speeches. Okay.
Yeah, the toast. Yeah. Like that's like what we really need. And I'm thinking when I see photographers like casually strolling, completely like, just like casually strolling throughout the guests, and I'm thinking, how many of these reaction shots are going to be prints? Like, I don't know. It just, do you need all these shots of the speeches? Yeah.
That's really funny because as a second shooter,
Yeah.
a lot of the photographers I work with, that's all they want me doing during toasts are reaction shots. And to your point, I don't think that they get printed. They're probably in the gallery, but that's so funny to hear because, yeah, that's a good question. But it is funny because a lot of the photographers just want all of these reaction shots. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and sometimes there are some great reactions. And then, you shoot other weddings where it's like, does anyone have any emotion? I don't see any reaction whatsoever, even from the immediate family.
It's so bad.
Give me some content. Yeah.
You can tell, I feel like you can tell immediately as soon as you go into prep what it's going to be like, just like the emotional connection with the family.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times, or like the bridal party.
Definitely.
So it's tough when there's no emotion.
Early in the day. Yeah. For sure.
So, okay, going back to working with other videographers, what makes it a really good connection when you're working with another videographer? Like, what are some of the keys to it being a successful team?
Yeah, when we don't really have to use a lot of speaking to each other, when I can see that the other shooter is getting a different angle than me, and I can see their hands are off the tripod, which tells me that their shot is locked in and I am free to move to get a different angle. If I can see that what they're getting is like the key shot, then I'm going to get some like a B-roll rear action shot. It's like those kind of like unspoken things that just make the day go so much smoother. But if I have no idea what they are shooting, then I'm going to have to be forced to shoot safer because I can't assume what is on the back of their frame. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. So then you're in safety mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like for one of us to be getting like the nuts and bolts of what we need and the other person to get more creative shots. But if I've never worked with that person before, then then I'm forced to be in, safe mode just to make sure that one of us is getting a face. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that weird when you show up for a wedding and you're shooting with someone that you've just never met before?
It is interesting. I always do a little like little Google and the Instagram, and I do that for
everybody.
I know this is a podcast, but yes, I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what's their vibe like. How do they present themselves? What kind of images do they take? Are they that more light and airy? Are they dramatic? Which will tell me, I should plan. This photographer is going to be using a lot of off-camera flash during portraits, and so that will make me shoot tighter. So, or I will need to bring light because they like those moody shots. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you're looking at the photographers as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I like it. That's interesting because I feel like as a photographer, a lot of times, not a lot, but I've shown up to weddings where I didn't even know there was going to be a videographer. So it's so strange because you work with them the majority of the day, but a lot of times you don't know who's showing up, or when. So it's nice when you have a relationship with someone and you know who you're working with. But I feel like that's probably a little different for video because do you guys almost always know who like you don't show up to a wedding, I would think, and not have a photographer. There's always a photographer, right?
Okay. All right. So since I first started, I've shot 2 weddings where there was no photographer.
Okay.
The first one was in the second year of me doing weddings. I had no idea back then that was not common. And so I did not know like the gift I was given of like the amount of control I could have had. And then the second one was this amazing wedding. It was, I think the 2 families, one was Cantonese and one is Kenyan. So they had tons of different like cultural like family traditions, throughout the ceremonies of the day. And they said, oh no, we just want video. Our friend has, a mirrorless camera. They're just going to be taking some photos for us. So they were in like burst mode all day. So all day it sounded like a machine gun, their friend taking photos.
Oh.
And then,
wait, it was a loud mirrorless camera?
I could hear the tick, tick, tick,
Oh, yeah.
And which is fine with me because I set up everything. Like that didn't take away from video. It was an odd choice. I thought that they didn't want to invest more in photography, but because it was such a great wedding.
Yeah.
And it was also interesting not having that presence because really the photographer is kind of like the camp counselor,
Oh, I like this. Camp
and
counselor.
the videographer, I'm just coming up with this right now. We are kind of the person, the lifeguard or the person who works in a snack shop. Like we're also employed by the camp, but you could run the camp without us, you don't need a snack bar. You need the camp counselor. Now we make the party fun, but anyways, so without that photographer in that wedding telling people where to stand and posing them for portraits and stuff like that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. The role of photographer is pretty crucial because, I don't do that.
Right, because typically you guys aren't doing timelines, right?
No, definitely not. Now, if I had to, sure, I guess I could just based off of using them for so many years, but no, I've never been asked to create a timeline.
So that must be wild showing up to a wedding where there's no photographer and then I don't know with those weddings then if you're just going off the timeline that the couple created or if they had
I just kind of talked to the couple as far as like when's ceremony. Okay, we're gonna do a first look. Okay, let's do it here. Let's do it there, and then I'll be with the guys for a while. I'll be with you. Yeah.
And so do they have family? They don't have family portraits then because there isn't a photographer. They're not coming up and just smiling for you, are they?
Yeah, they did family portraits with their friend that had the mirrorless.
Oh, I forgot about him. I see how immediately I just ruled him right out. He was just not essential to me. All right. I wonder what those pictures came out like.
I'm sure they were good enough. I'm sure that content is king, right? So I'm sure those pictures capture them just like when I look at my wedding videos from 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Those couples, which I still talk to some of them, they say, oh, yeah, our kids now watch our wedding video and they love it.
Yeah.
To me, what is outdated tech, maybe not the best audio, etc., is their wedding video, which is unique to them and captures the best day of their life.
Yeah. And the tech you had at the time was, sufficient.
Oh, it was great. Okay, so I got my camera, the Sony EX1 2009, right? So it wasn't brand new, but it was like a relatively newer camera. I did not know that the whole DSLR revolution was happening at the same time.
Okay.
So while I'm spending like about $9,000 on this camera, I could have just waited just a little bit and bought a Mark II with a couple decent lenses and had much the footage to feel what we're going for now. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you make the switch?
Yes, I regretfully purchased a Rebel T4i in probably 2014, something like that.
Okay.
With a kit lens. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I have a DSLR, so I'm going to get that awesome footage now.
Mm-hmm.
I never had one before. I did not realize what I was purchasing and the limitations in low light and the quality.
Oh, okay.
But in my mind, when I purchased it, I thought, oh, here we go. Now we're good.
Off to the races.
Yeah.
How long did you shoot with that camera?
Probably had it for maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
And then I just kept on upgrading to different other DSLRs to where I am now. I'm with Sony now.
Okay. Have you been with Sony exclusively? Have you been loyal to Sony this whole time?
Well, I still have my old Canon 7200 lens that with an adapter because that thing's a tank. It looks like it should be scrapped, but the image is still awesome.
That's good. That's all that counts.
I
all
think
that matters.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at it. It still has the name tag of the photographer I bought it from. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, don't lose it because I'll send it back to him.
I won't. What about you? Have you changed gear a lot?
No, I've been Nikon since the early 2000s. I had a Minolta in college, and then my first autofocus camera, talk about being excited, was a Nikon, and I've been with Nikon exclusively. And then I had a Nikon 810 for a while. And I remember for like a couple years, I was like on the fence about getting, I think it was the 850. And I almost bought it. It was like $500 off or something. And then I had waited and then it wasn't on sale anymore. And I was like kicking myself. And right around then they came out with the Z6 and the Z7. And I was like, wait, what's this? And so I waited. And then I ended up just going and buying a mirrorless. So I never got the 850. And then I switched completely over to mirrorless. And I keep looking back and thinking, thank God I did, because if I'd bought that 850, I would have stuck around in the non-mirrorless world for like a few more years. So that all worked out. But I have been Nikon the whole way through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they say thank you for your support.
They thank me for my loyalty and support. Yep.
Were you taking photos, or were you in like the photography world when you were running the flower shop?
Yes, but I had taken a break, and I would second shoot or primary shoot one wedding a year. So I want to say my first wedding was in like 2005, and I don't even remember how it's probably family friend kind of thing. So it would be like one wedding a year or every 2 years.
Okay.
And then I was shooting other freelance stuff like event things and different things for blogs. And it was weird to not be shooting photos when I had the flower shop, but that was really my focus. And then I had my son. And then it was in 2021, a guy that I had met in a lighting workshop that I'd second shot with reached out and had me second shoot. And I realized how much I'd missed it. And then I got back into it. And then I was like full force. And then I joined like Speakeasy. And then I signed up for Shoot With Me. And ever since then, it's been kind of all in. Since 2022, I've been at like 30 to 40 some weddings a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had one follow-up question about the whole flower thing.
Yeah.
When you're at a wedding, right? Do you ever have this like thought like, oh man, they really skimped? Or, oh man, the florist really took them. They gave them these cheap flowers and they probably paid X for something better.
Noah, I have so many flower opinions. Dave McShay will tell you because I share all of my thoughts with him. I can't keep them in. No, because I'm picky and I know from being on the other side just what goes into it. And I know when I had the flower shop, I didn't do floral design. I took a class at Longwood Gardens. I got my certificate of merit, but I took the class because I wanted to understand the mechanics and how it worked and all of that, because I thought I can't be managing floral designers and not understand what they're dealing with and like what they have to do to put together a proper arrangement, because it's a very artistic business, but it's also a very expensive business from like a cost of goods area. So I took the classes, but I was like, these ladies are so super talented. I'm going to let them continue doing that and I will deal with the admin and the logistics of it.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to order flowers and all of that. So the women that I worked with were so passionate about it that everything that went out the door was just well cared for, well put together, beautiful. Like it was amazing. So when I see like visible, we call it mechanics, when you can see that green oasis foam. So the zip ties or anything like that, all the mechanics you don't want to see. So if I walk in and it's an arch and I can see that the green foam and I can see zip ties and I can see that the ends weren't trimmed and it's just like taking away, I definitely have thoughts.
I bet.
If it's not filled in enough. And Dave McShay will also tell you I am having such a trouble with baby's breath because when I owned the flower shop, baby's breath wasn't trending. And so every order you took, people would say, okay, but whatever you do, don't put baby's breath in it because baby's breath is known as just like a cheap filler flower. So we're so used to people hating baby's breath and we would just avoid baby's breath all the time. And now it's having such a moment. And so it's so hard for me to see it everywhere because it actually smells bad. And in my mind, it's just this cheap filler flower. But I know that it has its look that people like, but I love to give Dave a hard time every time I see it. I'll be like, oh my God, there's so much baby's breath here. And so calla lilies, I don't particularly love them, but we had a wedding recently and it had the longest calla lily stems and they should have been trimmed because at the ends they get like kind of white and then they get kind of frayed. So it's like you need to clean them up. So when I see that they're like all beat up and they need to be trimmed, it makes me crazy. When I see bridal bouquets with super long stems, I don't know, like that's been sort of trending, these crazy long stems, but then it's so hard for the bride or bridesmaids to hold them. And you know how you really want them kind of tipping the bouquet forward when they're coming down the aisle?
Right.
They can't tip it forward when they've got like 18 inches of stems there. So in my mind, I'm always seeing all these things where I'm like, oh man, this should have been done. Boutonnieres, I am a disaster. I hate all of them. Like everyone, I'm like, this should have been done better. This should have been trimmed. This should have been wrapped better. The pins aren't, you know.
What was the episode where you were talking about the guy's boutonniere and you were waiting for like the assistant and they're getting the florist to do it for you?
Well, I've gotten better because I hate pinning on boutonnieres.
Right.
And my other thing is if I'm pinning on boutonnieres, then I'm not taking pictures of what's going on. And the problem is I'm typically the only female in a room full of guys and they all stand around and they act helpless and they can't, figure it out. And so once I pin one on, then they all just start lining up. And I'm like, okay, well, now it's, 10 minutes of me just pinning boutonnieres on and not getting anything. But I've realized that sometimes if I don't do it, it's going to be a mess. And so I've just gotten a lot better at it. I also sometimes, if they're pinning them on and I don't like it, I will repin them because they'll put them too high, they'll put them too low, they'll be at an angle. Sometimes they put them on backwards. You can see the pins. You don't want that. So I've come around. Now, I'm also so controlling that I now have boutonniere pins in my bag that I carry with me because typically the pins they give you are really short and skinny. Mm-hmm. And so many times I will bend it and then you can't use it because it's bent. And then I'm like, oh my God. So now that's the pressure I don't want of like, oh great, I just, messed up the boutonniere. So now I carry thicker, longer pins so that it's easier to do because they don't bend on you.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
When you were saying about how you didn't learn how to do it so you get content, that's why I've never learned how to do a bow tie.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want to be able to say I don't know how to do that so I can keep shooting as opposed to I know how to do it and I'm not being honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll try to like shoot them trying to do the boutonnieres.
Yeah.
And then after a few minutes, if I need to step in, I will. It's easier if it's only like 4 groomsmen. When it's 10 groomsmen, 2 dads, a ring bearer, it's like, oh my God. But sometimes it's better because I'll see them and they're so rough. And, with roses, you can snap the heads off of them. Ranunculus are really pretty, but they're really fragile. So they bruise very quickly. It's like tissue paper. So again, a ton of opinions. I had a beautiful wedding in Baltimore. And they had orchids for boutonnieres, which, those snap so easily. And the bridal party had like kids, and I kept seeing them picking up the kids. And then and it was orchids for the bridesmaids too. So there were just like orchid heads everywhere. And I know the cost of things. And I just kept thinking like, oh man, these are so expensive to just be snapping off and flying everywhere before the weddings even happened. So I do have lots and lots of thoughts on flowers.
When a bride's getting a bouquet, like, are most of these flowers sourced domestically? Or are they being flown in from other countries? What's common?
They're being flown in from other countries typically. Now, There are some florists that I know that are using local flower farms, and that's definitely picked up a bit in the past few years. Something else that people need to be aware of or concerned with is the proper conditioning of flowers, because you can't go out and just pick flowers and make a bouquet and carry it around all day. It will start to wilt and droop so fast. So flowers that come through a flower shop it's just called conditioned. So they're cut and treated a certain way. As soon as they come into the flower shop and we unwrap them, we recut the stems and we put them in like a flower food. There's special stuff that you dip the ends in to protect them. So you would treat them and then we put them in like warm water with flower food. And then every day or every other day at a minimum, the team would take all of those flowers out, change the water out, fresh bucket, scrub the old buckets, fresh water, fresh food, recut all the stems, and you're cutting off like an inch or 2, putting the flowers back in. And so they're conditioned so that when you make the bouquet and you deliver it, they're going to hold up. It's not just taking them out of like a field and cutting them. And a lot of people think like, oh, flowers love sun, so we'll put them in, in the bright sun, which once they're cut, they don't want to be in the sun. Something else I see is people get boutonnieres or bouquets and they put them in their own fridge, which they should never do because home refrigerators aren't the same temperature as flower coolers. And when you take them out, the flowers a lot of times will instantly start to brown and rot. So especially if they touch the edge of the fridge. So I get nervous anytime I see someone pulling boutonnieres out of the refrigerator. And they did it because they thought that's the best way to take care of them until we're ready to use them. So it is important for florists to kind of have those care instructions when they deliver things. But I've seen a few bouquets where they shopped from like a local floral person who was, using local flowers from the flower farm. And when they're not conditioned, they just die and droop so fast. And then they look not great in pictures. And I'm sure the video looks terrible too. So that always breaks my heart when I see, because it might be a beautiful bouquet at the start of the day, but it's so quickly, it just goes downhill. And I'm not surprised, but if you pay attention to a regular bouquet on most days, even though they're flowers and they're delicate and you'll see a stem that gets broken and droops over, for the most part, those bouquets are so sturdy and durable when you see like what they get put through. So that's always interesting. But bouquets are like easily start at $350, probably $500 and up. So
Okay. I have no idea. Yeah, I've never
yep.
never priced a bouquet.
Yeah. So it's an investment. But I love fresh flowers at a wedding. I just think it really adds to the space. What are your thoughts on flowers at a wedding?
I like them as long as they are not hanging from like
Ooh.
a ceiling fixture in the middle, which prevents me from getting like an angle from the balcony.
Right.
The Lucy. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gorgeous, to look at as a guest. But it just, okay, my line of sight is now preventing from shooting up here or getting that angle. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is a nice angle. Although with my flash, I always get long shadows, so I have to be careful. I have to work on
that's
that.
what the photographer who was working a couple weeks ago at the Lucy was saying. Yeah, my shadows are immaculate right now in a bad way. Yeah.
Pronounced. So yeah, I could see. It's a really good point because I don't typically have problems with those nice overhead installations, but I can see as the videographer that kills you.
Or lines of sight of the couple for speeches, getting like reaction shots when you're having, the whole secret garden in front of the couple's faces or on the sweetheart table there.
So I will, when people repurpose their bouquets onto the table, I now will go up and just place it on the floor.
Oh, I'm talking about when they have like a whole like installation of flowers, not just a bouquet.
Not the bouquet.
Right.
Okay, when it's like a big thing.
Oh yeah. No, the bouquet, that you can throw that away. Yeah, sure, but we still have like a whole garden there. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the tall candles in like the columns. And then like you have to keep like adjusting these micro adjustments because then you'll have like one eye that's magnified by the hurricane glass and they look like an alien. And then you shift over and then all the groom's eyes in the thing and you're like, oh my God. And yeah, those are tough when they're too tall. So now what else? It's interesting too, because with video, it's, different things than what we deal with photography. What else we talked earlier about like side aisles. So that's obviously a challenge when you don't have aisles on the outside and you just have that center aisle.
Yeah, I mean, you're still shooting the ceremony, right? The couple's still going to be happy. You're getting that 2-shot or that wide shot from the back. The video just isn't as exciting as it could be. That's all. I want them to feel like they have a more immersive video where they're watching it and you're being pulled in from different angles as opposed to, we have our shot. It shows both you in focus. You see you do your vows. I want more. Yeah, just more variety.
It's probably comparable to, a family member doing like a straight on video compared to like you, who's more of a filmmaker, who's getting those different angles and, editing it all together and making it, more of a film.
Yeah. And from the couple's point of view, they love it, right? It's fine. Our standard as photo and video is probably much higher than the client's standard of what is great.
Yeah. It's funny when you were talking about your earlier clients and, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh. And it's, at the time, their budget and what they were used to seeing, what you delivered was great for them. And I think it's, we deal with that too. I feel like we all see so many things and we're on Instagram and TikTok and seeing what other people are putting out. So I feel like we all do have this really high standard. And a lot of times the couples don't look at things the same way that we do. Mm-hmm. And so we can be like, oh man, and yet they're still going to be really happy. Now and then you run into someone who, is super picky and had an idea in their head or on their Pinterest board that, isn't quite possible to recreate. But I think sometimes I do have to remind myself that like what we're doing is really good and we can be kind of hard on ourselves.
And we are at the mercy of other people doing their job on time and doing their job well for us to do our job to the standard that we want to do it.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Absolutely. Because if hair and makeup runs late and then we're rushed, that affects portraits and, everything else.
Yep. And if hair and makeup needs to get their reels done for their iPhone, the content creator needs to get their reels done for their iPhone, Hopefully there's some time left over for you, Allison. Yes.
Hopefully. And then I'm not standing in front of you.
Oh, I got legs. I can move.
No, that's really kind. And I always am conscientious of not being in the videographer's way, but I am concerned when there's a time crunch and I'm like totally laser focused on what I have to get done. I know I'm not as conscientious of getting in other people's way because I'm thinking, oh my God, we have to get all of these portraits done or all of this. And so then I look back and I'm like, oh man, I hope I wasn't just completely messing things up for them.
Well no, I mean, because most couples these days, I say different companies deliver a wide range of products, but a lot of people I know are delivering formality clean edits, and then the rest of the day is like a 5 to 7 minute video, right? So I know what I need to get that done. So we're in a time crunch, and the photographer says, "No, do you need this? Do you need us to do it again? Do you need anything?" I'm like, "No, I'm good," because I realize we're working on a tight timeline. And if I don't need that, well, I'm not going to hold up the train just so I can experiment and get some creative shot that isn't necessary when other things need to be done. And you have a specific list of photos that you need to shoot. You know what I mean?
No, that's definitely very thoughtful and smart.
What I can do is creative could be edited together. They're going to say, do we have this shot? Yes or no. Yes or no. We don't have that shot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and if we're missing it, or certain family configurations. So, oh, that's nice. It's refreshing to hear that. It's a good approach.
All right. Well, what I kind of makes me smile every time is when we're not on a time crunch, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm working with a photographer who's, got some speed and zip, right? It's like boom, boom, next pose, next boom, boom, next pose, and we're done. Hey, Noah, do you get everything you need? It's like, oh, I always say yeah, because I always get everything I need. But like, right. Is this a rhetorical question? Because maybe this question's a better question back when we're shooting as opposed to when we're walking back to the venue.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And again, I got everything I need, but you really don't have to ask that question because what if I say no? That's going to be that's going to be an awkward exchange right now. So I said, yeah, we're good.
So let me ask, because I know I'm guilty of when I'm shooting different things, turning to video, especially when I have a good relationship with them and saying, hey, do you have everything you need? Is there a better way I should be asking that question?
Oh, it's a great question. Like when we're there with the couple,
when we haven't left the moment,
but like when we've already left the moment, we've said goodbye to the couple, and then the photographer looks over and says, "Hey, do you get everything you need?" It's like if I didn't, it's too late for it now. I would have spoken up for myself at the time if there was something I needed. You know what I mean?
Not as we're putting everything in the trunk.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, well, I didn't get what I needed and I didn't speak up. No, I'm going to advocate for myself if there's something I absolutely need.
Yeah. No,
but as long as, most photographers say, hey, look at each other, look away, this or that, I'm getting some movement, then I'm good. I can work with that. And then I think some photographers might take that as me being, not me specifically, but a videographer being kind of passive and lazy. Whereas, no, I'm just keeping the ship moving because as long as there's movement in my frame, I'm good. There might be 2 other specific shots I might prompt the couple to do. But if there's movement, I don't need to go over a whole big list of other shots if what I want is already created for me.
That makes sense because like you said, you're going to be editing it down and it's only like 5 to 7 minutes additional. So you don't need, a big production.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, when there's some photographers that, even daytime portraits, they're using reflectors 1 foot or 2 feet from the couple, like the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so for that photography style, then I'm going to need to, after they're done, I'm going to grab the couple for like 2 to 3 minutes to get some other shots. But I would say the majority of photographers do not use reflectors, in outdoor portraits. And so it's much easier to get everything I need.
Now you mentioned, I'm just thinking about a wedding I did so many years ago and it was at a horrible venue and it was outside and it was like all cement. I was watching all these YouTube
But before you continue, I enjoy in your podcast how there's some episodes, depending on what you're talking about, you say the venue, and then other ones where maybe you don't want to get yourself in trouble as far as like someone feeling bad, whatever. You don't say the venue. Yes.
So this was like Valley Forge Hotel or something. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was there once.
Prussia.
I remember
and So the Well, the reception then is all subterranean, so you're underground for everything. But for the portraits, the only place we could go was outside. So I remember like watching YouTube videos, and I was like, "It's going to be bright sunlight, blah blah blah." And so it
Right.
was like, "Bring a reflector." And I cringed thinking back because my husband was a guest at the wedding, but I had him helping me, and so I had like the silver reflector bouncing because I didn't want like the harsh shadows under there. But the whole family, like the parents kept like blinking and they were just like, it's so bright. And I was blinding them, but I was trying to avoid shadows. And I think about that when I see like Vanessa Joy showing how she, fills light in to prevent shadows. And then I just remember like blinding these parents at the Valley Forge Casino for the wedding. And I'm like, oh my God.
Do you feel like it was worth it? Like your images came out great or they suffered?
I've blocked it all out.
Okay.
I think they were probably fine for what, at the time, what they were looking for, what their budget consisted of. I put a lot of effort in and, I did my best. And,
Right.
But I just think back to like, I could just see the dad like blinking and I'm like, oh God. But typically, yeah, we don't see reflectors on wedding days. Tell me during the wedding day, I'm thinking of when you guys need to do sort of prompts to get your action shots. And I feel like there are some times during prep that you guys do things, then obviously like during portraits to get like movement. So what are some things during prep that you guys need to get shots of?
Oh, so normally I'm with the bride. Like I said, there's some times when I'm with the groom, and when I'm doing groom prep, because I don't do it enough, I feels more, even the guys are more malleable as far as like, stand here, move here, just like, you just tell them what to do.
Right.
I don't do it as often. So like what I want as far as standard things is not as first to my, what I remember to do. So it takes a little more work on me. But if I'm getting all that natural movement of mom or sister helping bride, yada, yada, them just looking at each other, and the photographer is not treating the bride like a mannequin.
Okay.
Like as far as like
poses.
The brides or the photographers sometimes will say, hey, I'll get these buttons all started and then we'll just stage a photo,
Okay.
Whereas, well, that's not going to look very exciting if I'm getting mom just standing there posing for a photo. Let me get mom or sister, whoever's helping her, doing some of the action. And then we can cheat some, but I just want some real movement as opposed to a still, and then I say, all right, mom, just raise your hand up and down a little bit,
Yeah. No,
because
that makes sense.
I'm not getting authentic like conversation between the bride and mom, whoever's helping her, that I might get those natural interactions if it wasn't a completely staged moment.
Yeah, because you can get good stuff even when they're struggling a little bit, which is
Exactly,
another really good reason why you don't want your photographer pinning on boutonnieres, because that's not going to go in the film.
That'll go. I have a folder on my computer called Wedding Weirdos. And I put there like some of my good friends who are wedding vendors who I shoot B-roll of. I put guests who are either acting a little silly or not my favorite people. Anyways, it's a very inclusive folder called Wedding Weirdos of stuff I've collected over the years. So yeah. So sometimes I get fun clips and put them there.
I like that. I might have to start a Wedding Weirdos, because sometimes you get good stuff that you're not going to deliver, but it should have a place to live.
Exactly. It's just something like, oh wait, I captured that. That's a fun thing, but that won't make it into any gallery or actual wedding video. It's something that's odd. Yeah.
Have you had anyone do something during a wedding that just like crossed the line or like was inappropriate, where you were like, I have to stop filming, or I'm just going to let it roll, but there's no way this is going to see the light of day?
Oh, as far as like a guest,
guest or wedding party, like just, people sometimes get carried away and think they're being really funny and it's not.
Yeah, I've shot some things which I don't agree with the content of what they're saying. But that's not my position to say that's good or bad. I'm hired to film and just to document. And so I don't put any of myself into them.
Right.
So I just keep shooting because unless, it doesn't involve like hurting anyone. It's just either opinions or jokes that are,
Right.
I think you're an idiot, but this is your wedding day, and I'm just being hired to film in it with a neutral mindset. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now going back to
I've had vendors who have been wild, and I won't say
what did they
names.
do?
I um I don't know if I should say it on the podcast. So just curse me out on the dance floor. But yeah,
Really?
I don't want to say any more details because they're a
You'll
local
have to tell
person.
me later. They're a local person. Yeah,
Yes,
and
they
it
will.
takes some nerve to curse someone out who's literally holding a video camera.
Uh, uh-huh.
Of all the people. So, okay, going back to when you need motion and when you need time.
Yes.
Um, we talked a little bit about prep, and that was a good point because I know for us, a lot of times as photographers, we're very quick to say, oh, mom, it's okay. Somebody else can do it, and then we'll just fake it. So it's good for us to know that you need at least some time of her actually doing it because video of her just holding a button isn't going to work. I feel
But
like they're, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say 99% of photographers I work with do allow that natural motion.
Mm-hmm.
There's only two I can think of, and I get along with them, and I always remind them, hey, by the way, they're not a mannequin. Let them do a little bit of it. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. So it's never been something that prevented me from doing my job.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
like you said, you advocate for yourself, so you speak up,
Right.
which I think is probably important for other newer videographers to hear that, they might need to speak up if things aren't going the way that they needed to do to get what they need to capture. I'm thinking of like during portraits, because I feel like that can
Mm.
sometimes be like a stressful time where you're moving into trying to get like the big groups and then the everyone together and then staggered and then individuals. But you guys also need like them moving and walking and different things. So what are some important shots for video to get during family portrait time and wedding party portrait time?
Yeah. So that is completely dependent on who I'm shooting for in the day.
Okay.
When I'm shooting for myself, I know exactly the couple shots I need and want, and I'm going to shoot those as far as like I'm going to get the girls looking at each other, giggling and
Mhm.
laughing, right? I'm going to get them walking, going to get the guys walking. I'm going to get the shot of the guys coming up behind the groom, if they have that vibe, aren't, sometimes they're very stoic. They don't have that fun vibe. Well, I'm going to read that earlier in the day, so I'm not going to ask them to do something like
That's
that.
good.
A couple basic things like that. And then if I can get with the one-on-ones, if I can get like best man or maid of honor with the bride, those kind of one-on-one portraits,
Mhm.
B-roll that, great.
Yep.
Outside of that, what I'm looking for is I'm getting B-roll of people looking at the people getting the photos. I'm looking to get B-roll of the photographer shooting because I need to videotape the photographer.
This is news to me. I had
Because
no
all right,
idea I was in these films.
so this is not every studio does this. I picked this up from Cinema Cake back when I worked with them because when you're shooting B-roll, right, and you're looking at a wedding video and you have people posing for a photo and they're looking off camera,
Right.
well, what are they looking at? So
Yeah.
you insert a shot of the photographer with their camera looking, so that makes more sense visually. Oh, that's what they're looking at, as opposed to just a couple shots of people looking off camera, like, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing because I'm picturing how half of us stand when we're taking family portraits, and it's like we're standing there and then we're like bending backwards for some reason because we don't just take 2 steps back. And I don't know why we all do that, but it's like not a very flattering look. But that makes sense. You're going to need to see, to tell the
Yeah.
full story.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of studios that do not use any B-roll of the photographer, and you're going to see all these jump cuts of people looking off camera. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
And then getting close-ups of just the people interacting with each other while the portraits is taking place. The hands held, hands around each other, laughing.
Yeah. I like that as the second shooter, getting those moments. If I'm not shouting out the shot list, there are really nice moments that typically happen then.
Because I'm looking at like my B-roll, right, of a wedding, the last couple weddings I shot. I'm like, I don't need all those shots. Why do I feel like in my head I have to get X, Y, and Z, but I don't. I never use that. but I still shoot it, like, but we're so used to what we normally do that sometimes it's hard to branch out and be like, oh, I could shoot something different. I don't need that because I never use it.
I know what you mean, because on a wedding day, in my mind, I'm like, I'm here to photograph the wedding day. And so I feel like I need to be shooting all day. And so, yeah, sometimes you're taking pictures that aren't going to make it to the gallery, but you're there to shoot. So I can see that happening.
Grandma, grandpa. That is like, if I'm going to shoot family portraits, B-roll of that, I want to get immediate family. And then if there's any grandparents, once the aunts and uncles start getting introduced, I go shoot something else. I don't need that.
Okay.
You're not going to see Aunt Jane in a 7-minute video.
Let me ask you this. So 7-minute video on a typical, and I know there's no typical wedding day, how much footage do you have when you go home and download everything?
As far as like gigabytes or hours or what?
Hours.
I mean, that's hard to tell because depending on the length of the ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly don't know. I know gigabytes. Honestly don't know.
Like, what about gigabytes? How many gigabytes are you downloading?
Depending on what type of ceremony it is, between 300 and 500 gigs.
Okay.
If that's shooting 4K, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, because like you said, the ceremony alone, because you're shooting the whole thing. So if it's an outdoor 10 to 15 minute ceremony versus a Catholic mass that's, an hour and 15 minutes. So,
right.
How have you changed your editing and all of that, your process, when it's your own work over the years? Do you refined your system, what you do?
All right, the evolution from when I first started till now.
Yes.
I get things done right away.
Okay.
I remember so many emails when I first started that it's like emails of like, I'm so like, I was not busy. I was only doing like 10 weddings a year or something like that when I first started. But I was like, I'm so sorry. I know your deadline passed, but I'm working, like your DVDs back when we did DVDs will be shipped out next week. Cause I didn't have that urgency. And then I don't know why, but as I got more experience, I'm like, you're creating a better product if you get it done edited earlier than what the couple's expecting. This editing or the footage is fresher in your head of what you shot, so it's easier to remember where those like little gems are of what you shot, yeah and then get it in and then get it out.
Because if not, it's the longer you procrastinate, I feel like for a lot of people, then it just becomes a bigger thing in your head than when you sit down to actually do it. So
exactly. And then I always quote 60 days for my videos, and it's usually about a month.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a month, but just if you're editing other stuff and then you get to their project and then
because during the busy season you can go, like you said, you could have a triple and then you're downloading everything and backing everything up, and there just isn't as much time to sit down and dive into it all. So it does take time, even with AI and all of that. How has AI impacted your workflow?
Oh my God. Okay. The only application of AI I use is in the way of like cleaning up audio. I guess and it's AI adjacent, like Adobe has their product, Adobe Podcast Beta, which you upload the audio file and then it cleans it up. So it's AI in a way. It's not like a AI image, but it's using computers to produce a better result, right?
Yep.
So that's why I kind of call it AI adjacent.
It's not like they're bringing in a voice and an AI robot to do the other side of it,
No, I'm so glad I don't have kids that will be videographers, because it's doomed after another generation or two, because the AI is so impressive in taking over. It's just taking the human element out of it. How can we compete when somebody can just go upload images and look at this fake video from your grandparents from 1945 that's color and has movement and audio? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's amazingly awful, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
No, it's scary, and it's come so far so fast. And also, I don't know why. Like, I saw yesterday a picture where it was a couple in front of a parking lot in casual clothes, and somebody was like, "Hey, can you put the groom in a tux?" And then someone edited it with AI, and she's in a wedding gown, he's in a suit, they're in front of like a Italian villa, but it's like, what are you doing with this photo that is not true? You know, what's the point of just photoshopping AIing it? So yeah, it's frustrating, but there are so many good applications of AI that it's hard.
Oh, sure. I
draw the line.
remember being at Merchants Exchange, right? And there was these tourists or, people walking behind our bridal party. And I said to the photographer, hey, do you want me to go up and ask them to move? And they said, no, I'll just remove them and they said the name of their AI application, And I was like, must be nice. Okay, well, I can't. So I'm going to go ask them to move.
So you guys can't it's not as easy for you as it is for us to just
There may be a way. There's not a tool that I use that can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I still try to avoid that whole mindset of, I'll just remove it in post, because then it just slows everything down going picture by picture.
I bet. Yeah.
But it's definitely a lot faster than it used to be. And it's easier to get rid of those exit signs and everything else. So yeah, there are good applications of it.
I mean, not AI specifically, but just like technology and its improvement. I think of when I first started, all my lenses, I had a rack focus, bride coming down the aisle, anything was all manual focus. And now the autofocus, where I'm just like tapping a screen to tell what I want to be in focus. And it's better than I could do natively. It
just locks it on the eyeball.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes try to think back and remember like what my DSLR was like. And I can't remember what it was like like I can remember my film camera and doing the manual focus with a little circle in the middle, but like I can't remember with a DSLR. Like it's like erased from my memory.
Yeah.
So it's so strange, and it's come so far. So speaking of changes, and you briefly mentioned when we were talking about timing and people getting what they need, content creators. How are you feeling? How many have you run into? What are your good experiences, bad experiences? What are your opinions on it?
Yeah, I probably worked with about 10, and I feel like I've already said enough negative sounding opinions so far. I'm going to give you a positive one, I guess. I don't know. I can't control it. That's just what brides are. Not all brides, but there's some brides that find value in this. And so I just make the best of it and roll with the punches. Now, what I think it is just semantics. I think it's another word for a videographer that might be at a cheaper price point. And so brides don't put that together. And so basically they're just paying more money for the same product that their videographer could do. If they want really fast turnaround, just ask your videographer, hey, can you get us some footage quicker than normal? Oh, you want video shot vertical? Great. My camera can go vertical and it's better quality than your iPhone, especially with low light performance. But yeah, it's just branding and marketing. When you look at some of these sites of content creators, and it's how they present themselves, which is very attractive and appealing to some brides.
Yeah. Yep. God.
There's also a wide range, right, of content creators. I've worked with some that have been next to me and the photographer at the top of the aisle, which is odd.
Yeah.
I haven't found one yet that's truly shooting behind the scenes, because in my opinion, behind the scenes would be them shooting them, preparing the food in the kitchen, the florist like setting up the flowers. It wouldn't be shooting the entire ceremony, because that is the scene, not behind the scenes. So
good point. Yeah. Yeah. I think, to your point, what you said about there are different types, yes, and how people are presenting it, because I think that there is like packages where it's like they're just getting little snippets and they're uploading those to a drive so that the bride and groom have them for the next day, or the couple wants, for whatever, just TikToks and the TikTok trends. So you see different packages, but to your point, some of them are really doing videography and just labeling it as content creation. And I think that's a big difference from, if it's truly like iPhone little snippets that's not trying to replace a video. I think it annoys me when someone says it's a cheaper alternative to a videographer because it's not the same service. It's just not when it comes to the quality and the gear and the experience and the editing.
Sure, it's not. And now the iPhone looks great when you're looking at the screen, but if you take any, at least from what I've seen, if you take iPhone footage that was shot in a low light environment and you put it on your computer screen and blow it up, it's very pixelated.
It would have to be because it's a phone compared to.
But it looks great, like when you're looking at it on that
screen.
little screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just important that they're have their own category and that they're not just because I hate when it's marketed as, hey, don't spend all this money on a video when you could have this and get it right away. That just drives me crazy. I just don't think that I don't like when people market anything by putting somebody else down. So,
yeah. And everything has to be content, right? Everything about this industry has to be content to find the next client, as opposed to, it's not really like some of this content we put out. It's not, is it like, sometimes you ask yourself, is it servicing the client or is this just me trying to find more work? And so I was talking to someone, they were talking about the whole idea of, my wedding day is not your content. Like this is my day. I did not pay you to broadcast my business all over the internet. Now there's a lot of brides that love that attention and sharing with friends, but we kind of just assume that every bride wants that and is okay with, it's an intimate personal day of like, oh yeah, let 5,000 people see everything about my wedding day.
yeah, because the same way I don't like when DJs have their business name plastered all over the speakers or business cards out. That's an interesting take on it because it's not our time to be doing marketing. But I can also see where we use our work product to market our services. And now it's this slippery slope to, creating on the wedding day specific marketing material.
Right. Yeah. It's like, yes, I realize you were there to service the couple that hired you. No one's doubting that. But on the same token, it's like you're working for the next client, hoping that they like what you're doing now so you can yeah.
Yeah.
We work in a very interesting industry, yes.
It is, it is very interesting because it's a lot of the promotion and the self-promotion, and it's gone. There's such a drastic change from, just a few years ago. And it seems like to compete, you have to be on all the social media platforms.
Right. Like I do not know what my mechanic ate for breakfast. I don't know how much my mechanic's tools cost. I just know that he does a great job and I hire him. Whereas us wedding people, it's like, this is what he ate. This is what I'm doing. Look at me and my job. I'm doing my job,
And that's funny because real estate is like that too. Realtors constantly have to be like, here's what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like justifying their commission. And then people are like, but doctors aren't doing that.
Right.
It's funny based on where you need to get your clientele and how you go about doing it, how you need to appeal to them and being competitive. So it's changed so much. I think for me, my concern with content creators is putting down other professionals to, get ahead, but not understanding how the day flows. Like, how it works. I like to think I know how it works in having that mutual respect and staying out of each other's way and making sure that everyone's getting what they need and, respecting the timeline. And so for me, I'm always concerned about someone coming in who, like you said, is up at the front of the aisle and just doesn't understand and is in the way just to get their content. So it's interesting to see how it's unfolding and where it's going to go because it doesn't seem like it's going away. But also what you said is true too. When we're creating our own content, what is the couple comfortable with? Because some people might love it and others might not want, everything out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I've had a number of clients over the years that say, yeah, we don't want anything shared. And that it's their video, they paid for it. So yeah, that's their choice. Now there's some wedding films I would have loved to have shared, but because it would have been good for me, but that's not what the couple wanted, and that's cool.
Yeah, that's hard too. And, like you look at it and that is what you're creating. And for people to see and trust you, they need to see what your work product is. So yeah, that does hurt if someone's like, oh, we don't want this shared publicly. And then you're like, but that's how people can see how talented I am and all of that. But yeah. You have to respect it.
Maybe I just upload like a 3-minute video of blackness and says, I respect your privacy. This would have been an awesome wedding video, but I'm respecting their privacy not to show it. Yes.
Exactly. This is a beautiful film. Trust me on that one.
Trust me. It was really good.
Just trust me. So how do you attract your ideal clients? Or who is your ideal client?
My ideal client, let's see here. Most of the clients I get for myself are just either past guests, family, friends, or whatever of other clients. That's where they're finding me. They're not just like randomly Googling me, or a strong referral from their photographer since they hire the photographer first.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's such a wide range in the details of the kind of client that is my own. It's more just about where they come from. That is more the common denominator.
And you're getting, it sounds like a lot of referrals then, which is good because they're coming in from someone who's, vouching for you and was a happy client.
Yeah, because they're hitting up the venue and the photographer first. And so that's, I had this conversation with a photographer friend of mine they refer me a good bit. And I said, I'm pretty much it's almost guaranteed I'm never going to give you a referral because by the time that they're looking for video, they already have a photographer. Mm-hmm. And so I was just talking to them about different ways that I could bring benefit to them. Yeah. Not that they asked me to, but I feel like it's more equitable and fair if there's a way that I can bring something to the table as opposed to just me mooching off referrals from them.
Yeah, you want it to feel like a two-way street.
Exactly, yeah.
Did they come up with anything?
No, I came up with some ideas, yeah.
Okay. Did you want to share any of those ideas?
Well, the one idea, no, because it was their idea for maybe a product to give to a couple that I thought, that's a really good idea. So I didn't want to ruin that for them.
No, don't share it. Yeah.
Let's see. Just one other idea. They were like, I need some more new video for my website. I was like, here, let me help you out with that. Let's knock something out. That'd be easy peasy. Yeah.
So that seems nice. That's a nice way to repay someone, to thank them for the referrals. And yeah, I like that.
Also, I think the other benefit of a photographer referring a videographer, they know who they're going to be stuck with for 8 hours in that day.
Oh, absolutely.
Because let's say a photographer, let's say they're shooting 30 weddings a year, right? They don't second shoot or associate shoot. They only have their own gigs. Well, they need to make sure that those 30 gigs go great.
Yeah.
And you have Ronnie, the brand new videographer, showing up just, ruining the day. Well, then not good for them.
No, it's not. I think I talked about this on a podcast, but I had a wedding years ago that I was associate shooting for. And when we got to the golf club, we got out. And
when they ran over the guy's gear?
No, that was different, but that was
okay.
Awful.
That was a great episode.
That sound in just crunch right over it. And I was like, oh my God. Awful.
Man. Oh,
yeah. This was different. And I was associate shooting. We get to the golf club. We get out. He parked next to me. And this goes back to what you were saying about who you're working with is a reflection on you. So I never want to say in front of a couple, to the videographer, oh, hey, nice to meet you. So I always say oh, good to see you, because then that way they don't know how, or if they say how long have you been shooting together? I just say oh my God, it feels like forever. Even though it might just be 10 minutes, but it feels like forever. So this guy, he parks next to me, and he's a nice kid. And he had done video for a while, but he was new to weddings. And so we get out of the car and the guys had pulled up. And so the video guy says in front of the groom, oh man, I've never been to a golf club before. And the groom says, how have you never been to a golf club before if you're a wedding videographer? And I was like dying inside because I was like, the kid was young and I was just thinking like, oh my God, this is stuff you just don't want to say. But then it reflects on me because people just lump us all together. And I'm like, oh God. So that was a rough one. And then one time I had the video guy disappear during the reception and we had to call the studio and say, hey, by the way, the video guy that you hired disappeared and he's gone.
Wow.
And that was crazy.
Did you see it coming?
I had red flags earlier in the day when I found out that he had driven in from Michigan overnight to be there and brought his partner and their toddler and were late getting to the wedding prep because they were checking into their hotel and they only had the one car with them. And then there was like a phone that died or went missing. And so he was like going in and out, like, so he hadn't slept and he's got people with him. And then, he just disappeared during the reception. And the second shooter came up to me and was like, hey, I haven't seen what's his face. And I wasn't paying attention. By the time the reception rolls around, I'm barely paying attention. You know, like once the formalities are over, I'm just shooting, the same dancing over and over again. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw him. And we were able to go back and figure out like roughly what time. And it had been an hour and he just like left. And so that was weird. And I don't think the couple realized. And then the studio, the guy was so nice. He was like, well, I mean, I'm going to see like what he sends me. And I was like, yeah, I don't know that you're going to get the best stuff from him. Like this is not a great indicator. And so he uploaded some things and said like, oh, I'm having some issues. And like, it was like a week. And I was like, it's not looking good. And sure enough, like he had not shot that much and just dipped out. So that was crazy. Yes, but again, thank God the couple didn't notice because like how awful if they had noticed and said something to us during the reception because I have no idea who this guy is, but it looks like we're all together. So,
but different studios, right?
We were both hired by the same studio, but
you were okay.
So, but I don't want anyone. Luckily, when I'm associate or second shooting, people don't really know my name or my brand. They just know the studio. But still, it's uncomfortable when you're there and someone looks like a hack.
Of course.
Yeah, that was a tough one. So, yeah. Have you had any really bad experiences with photographers?
Yeah.
That you can talk about?
Let me think. Because 99% of my experiences have been great.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
mine too. There were only a couple that you're like, ah.
And you know what? There's some people that they just have their quirks, and you work with them enough, and you learn. Oh, okay. I just don't do this or that with that person as far as a shooting style, and it makes the day go fine because you don't. If you go into a wedding day and I have to shoot it this way, well, then that's setting yourself up for failure. You need to adapt and just see what works with the ingredients given to you, right?
Yeah. You have to. You can't be like so stringent that it affects your product.
No, I mean, off the top of my head, my experiences have been fine. But I will text you later, yes.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything.
No, that's fine. Can you give an example of something someone could do to really get themselves in hot water with a videographer as the photographer? What do we need to be really aware of?
Oh, I think like, all right, so what I tell photographers, not in hot water, but what I tell photographers is I say, yes, I have multiple angles set up. And that's so I always have a clean shot. Feel free to walk in front of my angles. That's fine because I still have another clean shot. Just can you please not just camp out and stand for an extended period of time in front of one of the cameras,
Yeah.
I'm not, because sometimes it looks more silly if you're doing this like ducking, like you're in combat and ducking under angles. Just walk freely.
I do that. Yeah, I'm trying to be like super aware, but yeah, because I know you've told me like, hey, I'm fine. You can totally walk in front because I've got
fine.
The other angle.
That's why I have different angles set. I can only use one angle at a time in a video, so it's fine. You walk in front of it, but if a photographer is just camping out, they turn around and they're making eye contact directly with the lens, and then they turn back to it, like during, like I would say during I earlier said speeches, but also vows.
Yeah.
Because I have two shots, one tight shot of the bride, one tight shot of the groom. Just don't camp out in front of a tripod during then. But besides that, yeah, walk around.
Yeah, because you would want clean options for all of that, for sure.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Anything else that you can think of off the top of your head for advice for photographers to work well with videographers?
Let's see here. Oh, if you're going to pull the couple out for sunset, just let us know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I think I've only gotten burned like maybe 3 times. And I'm always like, I'm not like off eating food or taking selfies in another room. It's like I'm around and they just happen to go out. So it's
right.
Because I'm aware, I think we're going out at some point, and I'm looking through the window and I see them off and feel like, that would have been nice to capture, but it is what it is. And by the time I get out there,
it's something to be aware of, because I feel like with the sunset stuff, you never know whether the couple are going to say yes to it, and then they're trying to figure out when to pull them away and all of that. And so I can see where the photographers then are like, oh, great, here's our shot, let's go, and aren't thinking about it. So I think just being more aware of giving you guys a heads up. Yeah,
it's a two-way street. Like if I see something happening, I'm always going to tell the photographer, hey, I don't know if you want this, but this is happening. Or it's also like throwing, Yeah,
you're good like that. I know when we had a wedding recently, you were working with someone else and like tapped me and like pointed, and I turned around and there was like a really beautiful moment happening like outside the church door.
Okay.
With, like a woman and like a little kid, and I got the picture, and Haley loved it. And I said it was thanks to video, because I was like laser focused on the couple, and you guys were the ones that let me know like, oh, hey, she went out here with the little kid because he was getting fussy, and it was like a really beautiful shot in front of the stained glass. But yeah, I always like to give credit too, but it does make a difference when you're working together as a team well. So let me ask you this. Can you think of any failures that you had that ultimately helped you grow and like impacted how you do things?
Trying to think here. I don't know if this is specific, but earlier I never wanted to sound like I was overbearing as a lead shooter at the second. And so if they said they did something, I wouldn't ask follow-up questions. I would just assume that we were on the same page. Whereas now, like I'll ask follow-up questions and be more specific, or I'll go check a recorder or something like to actually see it, as opposed to getting home and then feeling resentful of like, why didn't I just ask that follow-up question about if we were on the same page and specific about an instruction,
That's good. Yeah. Because like you said, you're kicking yourself later because you didn't want to potentially hurt someone's feelings, and now you don't have what you need.
Exactly. Just be clear and direct. And it's okay because they're getting paid a decent wage to do a good job. And so why not just make sure it's done right the first time instead of having a conversation later?
And as for me, who second shoots a lot, I appreciate that. There are some photographers that I work with that will say like, oh, hey, can I see the back of your camera? Can I see what you're getting? And I'll show them, and then they can say like, oh, hey, I want to make it brighter or whatever. And I would much rather hear that in the moment so that I can make those adjustments, and they're going to be super happy with what I have, than me shoot 2,000 photos and they would have preferred, a few things differently. So I don't mind at all when someone, because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. So many photographers have different styles or, things that they like. So I think that's great advice, just to, in the moment, check in and everyone's on the same page, and you ask the follow-up questions and take a look and verify that it's going well.
Yeah. I think of another, not necessarily failure, but it's something that I improved on. I wish I would have learned people's names earlier in my shooting career. I would have taken the time, learn your names, remember, as far as like, that could fall into the umbrella of networking, and not realizing you're going to run into these people a lot over the years. and they could bring you work, and you could build more of a relationship as opposed to just thinking you're only going to see them in that day.
Yeah. I can do a better job with that for sure, because I look back and when I run into you guys, I'll be like, wait, when did we work together last? And then I'm thinking, and I think I'm going to start just documenting in the wedding, in my files, who the videographer was, so that I know, because it's nice to go back and see like how often you've worked with someone or at what venue. But yeah, I show up and I'm like, oh, hey, great to see you. It's been a while. I forget where it was. And then like you go on with life, and yeah.
I mean, it also helps like when you might have left a tripod at the downtown club, you already have the phone number of the coordinator there. So you can just text them directly and be like, hey, can I pick this up? And then they text you right back. Oh yeah, I have it in the closet for you, Noah. So
has that ever happened to you?
Maybe 2 years ago. Yeah.
But tripods are expensive. Yeah.
But it was fun entering another person's wedding. You feel like you're at a wedding crash. You're like, oh, who's the photographer? Maybe I know them.
When you were picking up the tripod?
Yeah, like entering like a stranger's wedding just to go to that closet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, nope, I don't know the photographer. I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel when you're at a wedding as a guest? Are you judging the photo and video team?
That has only happened a few times.
Because we don't go to weddings as guests.
And I think the last time it happened was, let's see here, probably January of 2020, something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's back. Yeah, that's before I got sober. So I was wasted the whole time with that open bar. Yeah. I kind of regret saying that out loud, but yeah, that's the truth. Yeah.
No, that's fine. When did you stop drinking?
October 2022.
Okay. I'm trying to. I stopped in 2018.
Okay. Yeah. It just
prior
got to be too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Prior to that, I drank a lot at weddings.
Yep.
Yeah, I do find when I'm at weddings, I'm more so with camera with photo and video. I'm more just interested in how they're doing it, and I feel like I'm not judging them. I'll judge the flowers harshly all day long, but I think I'm like, oh wow, look how they're doing that. Look at them with one camera, or like they're just doing things differently. So, but I love seeing how different people work, because it's amazing how so many people can do things so differently,
right?
And get their own art created.
Exactly.
So, sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was about to have a conversation with the photographer video person. I realized, you know what? I always find it weird when the random guest talks to me. So I just kind of cut myself off and said, "Hey, have a good night, bub." Yeah.
Yeah, I've had I do try to cut it short when the uncle comes up and wants to start chatting.
Exactly.
And you're like, I had a bat mitzvah. And there was this lady, and I can still picture her. She had this like tight, shiny dress on and these super high heels and this beautiful Leica camera. And her husband came up to us and said, does anybody have an extra memory card? My wife doesn't have one. Yeah. And it was like, oh my gosh. And so I think the woman I was shooting with did have what they needed. So I loaned her a card. But yeah, I just remember looking at her when she was like teetering on these heels. And I'm like, look at her with that Leica having the time of her life. So, but she wasn't in the way, really. Right. We had one aunt who was definitely in the way and is in the background of a lot of shots. But fortunately, we don't run into that too much.
Oh, sure.
Do you shoot things other than weddings?
I tried to start shooting like family videos, but haven't really gotten too busy with that. I've done a couple. For example, like on my Instagram, I have a 1-year-old birthday party where I shot the normal B-roll of the 1-year-old's birthday party, but all the aunts, uncles, grandparents are there. So I had them talk to the camera as if the child was a grown-up and give talk to them like things they wish their grandchild would hear for when they're already gone.
Oh, that's sweet. That's really nice.
Like whether it's like a little detail about the family or just like words of love and like hope. Yeah.
Well, they'll cherish that for a long time. So.
Yeah. So it was I really enjoyed making that kind of video. I was like, oh, this is something I would like to do more of. Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Let's see. NoahStonerFilms.com is my website, and Instagram, Stoner Media Weddings.
Instagram, Stoner Media. Okay. All right. And you're not on TikTok?
I am. I think I have an account to watch other people's nonsense, but I do not create anything on TikTok now.
All right, so we can find you on your website and on Instagram. Hey, thank you so much. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you and pulling the veil back on videography. So thank you so much. And I look forward to shooting with you soon. Have a good rest of the day.
Hey, thanks, Allison.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to A Second Helping. Please like and subscribe.